Hi, I'm Radio, and I'm here to walk you through the Week 1 matchup of Orre Colosseum Mount Battle between MISSINGNO and irl.uke, two very experienced players in this format. Now, looking at team preview to start here, we can see that irl.uke has a Garowak team, which uses Marowak to support the Gyarados using Dragon Dance to set up. He also has Shedinja as a late-game win con, which is something that you really have to respect at Team Preview, especially because looking at MISSINGNO's team, they don't have a super easy answer into it. Though, it's very common for things like Metagross and Snorlax to run Shadow Ball, so if those are revealed later, that can be a great answer into the Shedinja. Now, MISSINGNO's team relies heavily on two major setup options. We have the Raikou with Calm Mind, and the Salamence likely running Dragon Dance. So be look out for those two to try and sweep games. Alright, let's get into it. Turn 1, we see the Swampert and Salamence lead versus Metagross and Gengar. Now, here Swampert and Metagross both likely are carrying Earthquake, and we see an explosion immediately. It's worth talking about that in Gen 3, Explosion is a huge factor throughout the meta, and this lead, Gengar versus Metagross, is a huge Explosion lead to keep your Gengar safe while killing most of the other team. So we see here the immediate Explosion, MISSINGNO plays it safe by protecting one, though he has to give up the Swampert, but in this case, that's okay, because what Swampert mainly checks, that Metagross right there, is killing itself. Now we see the Latias come in, and a Perish Song, a surprising set on Gengar that we don't see super often, with the only Shadow Tag Mon being Wobbuffet. And now we see Shedinja come out with another Explosion, doing relatively minimal to a Gengar and Metagross with the Gengar switching. So what we see here is that irl.uke was using Explosion to try and get rid of all of the possible counters to Shedinja quickly. Here, though, we see that the Metagross plus Gengar are perfect switch-ins to that Explosion, meaning that Shedinja is heavily threatened. Solid play here. irl.uke goes for the Swagger but misses, which is unfortunate because that was probably the best way to keep that Shedinja alive. Now he's in a position where he really doesn't have a good way to save it. Metagross gets to Perish last turn, but unfortunately, they have a pretty safe switch-in with Salamence and then can just bring it back in the Metagross later. Yep, so we see that safe switch, gets the Intimidate down, Shedinja goes down. It's possibly running Bright Powder or the likes, why he didn't go for a second Protect, but we see that game end pretty quickly. Now there we can see irl.uke's strategy was pretty simple. Go for the Explosions, try and remove as many counters as possible to get that Shedinja endgame. Latias acts as support. MISSINGNO here, though, basically just played a strong balance game. They recognized that what irl.uke's win cons were and immediately moved to counter with the Metagross and Gengar switch-ins. On to game 2. Here we once again see the same lead from MISSINGNO, but obviously changing up from irl.uke after a poor first game. Here we see once again plays it safe by going for one Protect, saves the Salamence, Swampert gets swaggered and hits itself. Oh, we see Salamence running Dragon Claw, actually a special move in this format, so something it's not super commonly seen. Swampert breaks through after they attempt to go for the T-Wave, but kills with Earthquake. Gyarados comes out, Salamence. So what we saw there is that this Salamence is running Salac Berry to get a speed advantage, which can be huge here. So not the setup set that I was expecting originally, since it's now instead running a special move in Dragon Claw and a Salac Berry. Swampert here has a pretty good matchup, though I'm assuming irl.uke is going to continue going for things like T-Waves here and Swaggers to see if they can keep the play in their favor. Latias goes for a Protect. See a Dragon Claw miss on presumably a Bright Powder Gyarados for the setup options, and Gyarados just goes for a D-Dance. Decent damage there. Oh, Swampert lives? We don't see a double up, so Swampert is going to be possibly able to attack this turn. Confusion ends, and doesn't kill the Latias with Ice Beam. So that's most likely decent special defense investment on the Latias. A safe Protect here, and just an Earthquake from the Gyarados. We did see there, though, that the Swampert moved first, confirming that it is running Quick Claw, which in this game is not announced. So it will just move first in random periods, which we will have to keep track of. But very safe play here from irl.uke, just protects the Latias, goes for an Earthquake to remove both the threats. Finally, we see Metagross here, which is not going to do great. Yep, immediate forfeit for MISSINGNO, recognizing the game is lost. So we saw a good switch up there from irl.uke, playing a bit slower of a game, just using setup options instead of going for the explosion hard reads. Let's move to game 3. Here we see MISSINGNO switch it up as well, while the same lead comes out from irl.uke. Ooh, Protect and a Reflect from the Raikou, so most likely not the Calm Mind option that we would expect, but instead Screens. Survives the Earthquake because of that screen, and Shedinja comes out. So what we saw there was that Raikou was running Reflect, which means it's likely just a supportive option carrying on T-Ball and possibly Crunch, but not Calm Mind setup. So MISSINGNO's team here actually looks like it's faking a lot of the sets. You'd expect Raikou to be Calm Mind and Salamence to be D-Dance, but instead we saw Special Salic Salamence and then Reflect Raikou. irl.uke makes a pretty smart play here too. Just goes for a safe Earthquake, though most likely Swampert's about to be able to fire back. Yep, doesn't kill the Metagross, but gets solid damage on it, and we see Flamethrower on the Salamence as well. So this is a terrible matchup for that Shedinja with almost everything on the team running possible ways to hit it. Gets rid of the Metagross with Earthquake. Perfect play there for MISSINGNO, revealing some very nice techs. But however, this Gyarados is still a threat if it gets a Dragon Dance up. Yep, and here we go. We see the Lumberry on Metagross, great switch into the Swagger. Gets the Intimidate off with Salamence, and just playing a very solid game right here. Meteor Mash does over 50% with the boost, and the Metagross gets paralyzed. But this is a great position from MISSINGNO. Doesn't quite kill with the Dragon Claw, and gets swaggered as well. And now it's Gyarados versus the world. Has a decently strong options here due to the confusion, so it's just playing to their outs. See if it gets through. And misses due to the Bright Powder once again. And do we see it break through? We don't. But the Quick Claw proc from Swampert manages to end the game. So irl.uke did a great job playing to his outs there, of trying to remove Mons while the Salamence was still confused. But unfortunately, it's just a bit too much than they could handle. They didn't have an attack boost, and that Salamence was always going to be a huge threat. Confusion wasn't going to last forever. So very solid closeout from MISSINGNO there. Just removed all the threats, especially by revealing that Flamethrower tech on Salamence to get that game 3. Here we go, game 4. So we see Swampert Salamence lead and Gengar Metagross. So once again, irl.uke returns to the possible explosion lead, possibly looking to try and catch MISSINGNO off guard based on what they had been playing previously with more focus on the Gyarados setup. So we'll see how this plays out. Gengar switches in for that explosion safety, just goes for Meteor Mash, very nice safe play, and we see the reveal of Shadow Ball on the Gengar, so it's a purely physical set. Ooh, nice double there. So interestingly, we just saw that the Salamence was moving before irl.uke's Gengar, which means he likely has a bulkier Gengar, which is a bit more focused in attack and bulk to survive to get that explosion off, if the Salamence is able to outspeed it. Gyarados comes out as we expect and just removes the Gengar. Very even play here. Gyarados probably going to just go for a Dragon Dance. Yep, here we go. And the Perish Song sets up. Gengar we see there living that Hydro Pump comfortably, a good sign of bulk investment. However, I'm interested in irl.uke's play here because setting up the Perish Song with your own Gyarados out is a very, very risky play. You're only going to have 2 turns maximum really to get that Gyarados off and protect stall when your opponent has 3 bonds as well left. Makes it very iffy. That Gengar could also go down easily, preventing you from switching back your Gyarados out to save it later. Here we see the immediate switch out to Metagross. Latias comes in, and just to protect from Swampert. But the Gyarados safely gets an Earthquake off. Salamence comes out. Easy switch there from MISSINGNO. They know the Gyarados basically has to go for Earthquake. However, we do know that the Latias can go for a lot of disruptive options here. And the fact that they got the Gengar out safely means that Gyarados can switch in to sack that Gengar if they want to bring it back later, rather than have it die to the Perish Song. Easy protect from Metagross, knowing that the Gyarados basically has to go for Earthquake. But we see a great coverage move in Dragon Claw coming out onto it, guaranteeing damage on something important. Great double up into Latias, but it just isn't enough. Great bulk investment on that Latias. Just from what we saw there of the Metagross outspeeding it, that means that the Latias is probably running something close to full bulk rather than any speed, which allowed it to survive that double up of Dragon Claw and Meteor Mash. That's also a major problem though with running the special Salamence. While it's a great coverage, has some great coverage moves, and it's a lot more surprising in a closed Team Sheet environment like this, the damage output just isn't nearly as good. Here we see the Gengar come out to save the Gyarados from Perish Song. Great protect from MISSINGNO here, but great protect from irl.uke as well. Pretty safe standard turn. Saves the Latias, goes for Perish Song. Great play here. With Gyarados' Intimidate, it's going to be really hard to remove before those Perish counters land down, and the Latias can provide great disruptive options to try and... Ooh, killed by the Salamence. Bit surprised there that they protected the Gyarados when they had possibly a turn to go for a Dragon Dance rather than just going for the Protects. Gets a double Protect and a double miss due to Bright Powder on a turn it doesn't matter. Great to see. And it's the triple Protect to win the game. That's brutal. So we do see there, though, that interestingly, Perish actually doesn't work until your turn starts the next turn after you fall to 0, which is most likely didn't matter at all in this situation. Once they'd gotten the triple protect, the game was over. But it's good to know, just in case, for how the game actually works. Let's move to this final game. So we see Metagross Salamence rather than the standard Salamence Swampert we've been seeing, and once again, irl.uke leads with that explosion lead. Ooh, Flamethrower. And their Metagross is faster, so they do manage to get the Earthquake off. But MISSINGNO survives and just removes the Metagross early, which is a great set for MISSINGNO here. Just get some damage on the Gyarados. Again, that really bulky Gengar, so it survives the Meteor Mash. But most likely, if it was faster, it wouldn't have had to take it. You see a Dragon Dance here. Yeah, Gengar's just getting outsped far too often. What hidden power? Oh, I don't know what hidden power that is, but yeah, interesting. They're not running something like HP Flying. Goes for the Swagger. So we saw there in chat that irl.uke mentioned, yeah, the wrong HP is going to cost me here. The standard for a Dance Gyarados is usually something like HP Flying to get that stab benefit. But here they just don't have options since they don't have HP Flying to hit things hard. And we've seen 2 things that are immune to Earthquake on the field. So after that game, after that immediate loss of Metagross, just doesn't have a good way to deal with Salamence or Gengar at all. See it once coming out. Crit's nice, but Will-O-Wisp from the Gengar is great. Just great play from MISSINGNO here, and a bit unlucky there for get the confusion hit. Yeah, that Gyarados just can't do much at all. Interestingly, Giga Drain Gengar, not what we usually expect to see. Solic Berry comes off, so yeah, just a bit too slow and bulky of a team here with a bit of the wrong item move choices. Just unfortunate. And so we see MISSINGNO win the first round of Mount Battle here against irl.uke. Great choices on their team. The tech moves that they revealed with Flamethrower and stuff basically meant that irl.uke could never bring Shedinja to close out that game. It's just great to see. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy further Mount Battle videos.